Hello, Ventura Elementary parents. My name is Jenny Rodriguez. I am with the University of Florida IFAS Extension Orange County office. I want to thank Guillermo, your parent coordinator liaison, for inviting the University of Florida to do some workshops with the parents of Ventura. First, I have to say you guys are the heroes of everything that is happening with the pandemic. You are true heroes to our children, to the children that attend Ventura. So I'm honored that you would invite us to host some of these workshops. Today's workshop is on a healthy home environment during the pandemic, the tools that we can use to maintain a stable home environment. And I'll be doing it in English and Spanish. So gracias a los papás que participaron en el taller de las últimas semanas. Este es el video que les prometí y en este taller vamos a discutir las herramientas para establecer un hogar sano y saludable durante una pandemia. Please bear with me as I translate in English and in Spanish. So without too much of a delay, bear with me as I deal with the slides here a little bit. So the healthy home environment during a pandemic, again, that's the topic we're discussing today. And this is also going to cover some tools that you can use to organize your and maintain that healthy home environment. So first, let's cover a little bit about this whole pandemic. So before the pandemic, we had plans. Everyone had plans and goals. New job. Maybe you were saving money. Maybe your kids were doing really great in school and were hitting all their milestones, celebrating different stages of life. Then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, and time sort of stood still. So I don't know if you felt the same way. I know most of us did feel like it was a difficult transition. Time just sort of stood still, and maybe we were panic struck by the changes that just came over us immediately and suddenly. There was no advance notice, right? It just happened all of a sudden. So we were at a good pace, and so now we're having to transition and pivot into a whole different outlook on how to do things. And so tal vez antes de esta pandemia, usted estaba empezando a ahorrar dinero, todo en su hogar estaba bastante estable, sus hijos estaban bien, matricularon en la escuela, recién llegados a la escuela, o tal vez usted pues es nuevo a este país, una nueva cultura diferente a la de su tierra natal. Y con la pandemia, pues tal vez usted sintió un poco de estrés con todos los cambios que de repente le llegaron con esta pandemia. So where do we go from here is the question, right? We all had that question soon after we heard the news. With such unprecedented times, we never quite imagine the magnitude of the COVID-19 virus and the impact that it would have on our finances, on our families, our workplace, and schools. No one really truly expected it. So it's also true that for some Americans, financial stability was pretty much lacking long before COVID-19. And so sometimes when you find yourself and income completely stops, it's natural to feel stress. Oftentimes when we're hitting different milestones and stages in life, we often hear the same advice. Don't forget to save money for emergencies. Don't forget to spend time with your children. Don't forget to exercise and eat healthy. And so these are still the same tips and advice that we get still today, even with this pandemic. But what we want to do is not succumb to the fear. Instead, we want to just ease that anxiety by putting a plan in place, and that'll hopefully help with the transition that we're making with this pandemic. con los tiempos tan difíciles, sin precedentes, nunca imaginamos la magnitud del virus COVID-19 y el impacto que eso iba a tomar en nuestras finanzas, a nuestra familia en general, tal vez es su lugar de trabajo y las escuelas. Nadie esperaba el cambio que iba a suceder tan rápido. Pues lo más importante del taller de hoy es cuando hay un ingreso, el ingreso se detiene y repentinamente es natural sentir ese estrés, pero no obstante, lo que queremos no queremos someternos al miedo, sino que queremos en cambio poder aliviar esa ansiedad al establecer un plan. Y el taller de hoy pues vamos a discutir las estrategias para ese plan. So taking care of yourself and your loved ones is the main focus in this workshop, right? We want to take care of our families. That we also want to define what is exactly a healthy home environment. It's one that includes improving the overall well-being of the home, the finances, the nutrition, exercise. But before we can reach our goals of creating a financially stable, healthy home environment, we can pretty much all agree that we need to, take care of ourselves, our loved ones first, and have a conversation about how we're going to do that. What kind of a plan are we going to put in place so that we can continue to take care of our loved ones? Para lograr nuestros sueños o metas, pues podemos estar de acuerdo en que primero deberíamos de cuidarnos a nosotros mismos, a nuestros seres queridos, y podemos comenzar con la definición de lo que es en el entorno del hogar saludable. O qué consideramos un hogar estable y saludable. ¿Cuáles son los factores de un hogar sano y saludable? Y eso incluye pues las finanzas, la nutrición, el ejercicio. Cada de estos factores pueden ser distintos en cada hogar. So today's objectives for today's session, the goal is to gain knowledge about how to track, about tracking tools that are available that can help maintain that healthy home environment. We want to have a greater intention to track and maintain a healthy home environment. And we want to identify a tracking tool that can help us to track and maintain that healthy home environment. So, después de esta sesión de hoy tendremos un conocimiento sobre un conjunto de herramientas de empoderamiento financiero, herramientas de seguimiento que para ayudar a mantener ese hogar saludable. Y eso puede incluir herramientas para manejar las finanzas, manejar el mantenimiento del hogar, la comunicación en el hogar. Y también, pues, la meta de este taller es para identificar esa herramienta que sea apropiada para su hogar y su familia. So, el primer paso es visualizar el proceso de visualizar lo que queremos lograr. So, first step one, put your mind to it. Commit and put your mind to your goal. You can do that by visualizing it. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools to help people alter your lives, your family members' lives, into that current positive mindset. And so sometimes we resort to quick fixes because we just really want to improve things immediately and get it done and over with. But sometimes that's not the right strategy or step to take. We have to take into account each family member. And just identifying that vision is basically you're painting a mental picture. Whether it's losing 20 pounds or increasing physical activity to 60 minutes per day, or maybe it's, accumulating a more positive cash flow at the end of the week, or potentially 3 months of savings in an emergency fund. So we want to foster that positive mindset. And in order to do that, we have to identify that vision. But before we go to that next step, I'm going to switch here to Spanish. El primer paso es visualizar la meta. Podemos pensar en las habilidades y las destrezas y logros del pasado. y traer eso a la conversación. Eso es lo que nos va a motivar a nosotros y a nuestros hijos a seguir hacia adelante, especialmente en una pandemia que no habíamos pensado que iba a suceder. Y pues mantener esa conversación y la comunicación positiva. So once we've visualized, well, once we have that vision and we're visualizing it, we want to just touch on the do's and don'ts together with our family members. Sit down and have that conversation. Touch on the do's and don'ts, right? Stay positive. Visualize the goal at hand, which is to maintain a healthy home environment during a crisis moment. It could be a hurricane. It could be anything that happens unexpectedly, right? So foster that positive mindset using language of change. And so those examples are listed here for you. You want to use strong action words such as I will and I can. And you want to stay away from using words like, oh, maybe, I'll try to, hopefully. You just want to stay away from those types of expressions. En español, pues queremos usar frases positivas como yo sí puedo lograrlo y lo voy a lograr. Evitar usar frases como lo voy a intentar, tal vez mañana, tal vez se va a lograr, sino que evitemos esas frases o ese lenguaje y utilizar palabras positivas con convicción. So once you've identified your vision, you want to name it, you want to describe it, and you want to take small steps over time to achieve it. And you want to do this together with your family members. Have a conversation with them and have them define and describe what they envision as a healthy home, as part of a healthy home environment. Tome los pasos para, después que usted identifique su visión, nombrarlo, describir y tome los pasos para lograr poco a poco esa meta de enfocarse en establecer un ambiente saludable. Step 4 is just use the SMART method. So specifically, we're talking about writing your goals, right? You can use, we're going to talk about the tools that you can use. One of them is a money management calendar. And so the SMART method stands for specific, measurable, adaptable, realistic, and timely. So if your goal, for instance, is to buy a TV, and the cost of it is $600, you want to start saving a certain time frame, a date, put the exact date. And you want to set the goal of when you want to purchase that new TV buy, and then the number of months that you're going to devote saving for it, and the amount that you're going to allocate per month. So obviously, you know, it could be something as simple as shopping for healthy food, healthier choices in your diet. It could be something as simple as, you know, you would like to purchase clothing or medicines. In my case, my son has asthma, and sometimes, you know, covering the cost of medications can be really pricey. And so you can use the SMART method so that you can set realistic goals and you can accomplish them, and in the amount of time that you need to. So make it relevant to you. So specifically, when we say specific, we're talking about what exactly is it you want, right? You're going to put that, you're going to list that. Measurable, how will you know that it has been accomplished? You want to stay on track. So you want to make sure that that's a measurable and accomplished factor, right? Adaptable are life changes. So how consistent can you keep at that goal? Will the goal change with life? And realistic, make it relevant to you. And this is basically what is the dollar amount. In addition to that, you can also think about this as a good tool to remind you of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? Go back to your SMART method, and you can refer back to your SMART method using a money management calendar, which we'll cover later on in this presentation. El método SMART es una metodología con la que se puede diseñar un camino para alcanzar las metas. Y básicamente es una estrategia para lograr la meta que tenemos. Por ejemplo, la palabra SMART significa establecer unos objetivos básicos para acordarnos de qué es lo que queremos, dónde y cómo. Cualquier objetivo que usted marque debe ser medible. También puede considerar que tiene que ser las metas, el objetivo es alcanzable, achievable, que es lo más importante es si usted puede alcanzar esa meta. Si hay que ajustar las finanzas porque necesita pagar unos medicamentos, pues entonces tiene que considerar esta meta ahora mismo es alcanzable o necesitamos ajustar un poco las finanzas para otras necesidades. Este es un método que puede aplicar utilizando también el Money Management Calendar, un calendario que ofrece la Universidad de la Florida gratis. Y si le interesa obtener un calendario gratis que le da todos los detalles de cómo utilizar este método, se puede comunicar conmigo en el correo electrónico Jenny A. Rodriguez @ufl.edu, y al final de esta presentación también se lo tengo disponible. Number 5, step 5, commit to your goals. So here we're talking about using the tracking tools. These are the actual tracking tools we're going to cover briefly. Bear in mind that a lot of these things are full 1-hour workshops that we cover in more detail. So we're just summarizing bit by bit how to put in place different tools. But as far as the specifics of the tools, we do offer those workshops. So if you're interested in that, feel free to email me at Jenny A. Rodriguez @ufl.edu, and I can give you I can email you the class schedule. So one of the tracking tools that we're going to be talking about is the weekly commitment calendar, and this is to organize. We started out talking about using positive phrases, right? So the commitment calendar is one that is made available by Becky Bailey, ConsciousDiscipline.com. It organizes the energy in our body and directs our focus. It determines our willingness to be helpful and loving to ourselves and others. So with this adult commitment calendar, you can set your intention with an emphasis on gratitude and being of service. So this is extending that whole positive mindset using the calendar. And so this becomes important. And here's an example here on the left, adult weekly commitment calendar. So you just take it day by day, and you can post these different templates on your refrigerator or wherever it fits for you and your household. So today I commit to, let's say here it's Monday, I commit to whatever task at hand, right? And I want to be of service to someone by whatever it is that you're setting that goal, whatever it is that you would like to include there. Maybe it's to help your son improve in his reading. And so sometimes you just feel like you don't have enough time during the day to do that. So you can include that in your calendar. Being of service to myself. Maybe you need to take about 45 minutes for yourself just so that you can relax and get rid of some of that stress that we often feel throughout the day when we're going a mile a minute. So maybe it's just to read a book, or maybe something a hobby that you enjoy doing. And then this fourth column, being grateful for. We want to get used to writing down things like that, like what are we grateful for? Roof over our head, the food at our table. And then this final column over here, it says I'm safe, keep breathing, and I can handle this. So what if you had a bad day, right? And none of this worked out for you? You can check that off. You can say I did it. You had a successful day. You can put, oops, I'll do it differently tomorrow. And it just serves as a tool. This is a tool to remind you of where you should be mentally, and using those positive words also for yourself, and not just for your children, but for yourself as well. The second template here is a tracker for your finances. You can put in place, like if you're shopping online and you lose track of what you purchased, this is just a quick, easy tracking tool that you can use. Over here on the right is another little template, and this is also something you can do together with the money management calendar. You can write on the day, when the rent is due, utilities due, and in red, you would put once it's already paid. And it's a good way to track by the end of the week what you've covered and what still needs to be paid. Another good tracking tool is the Iowa State University Extension Office has this 5-day meal planning worksheet. It's part of this. It's part of their Spend Smart and Eat Smart curriculum. So this is another tool that you can use, and it's an excellent way to incorporate healthy meals for your family. You can also go to choosemyplate.gov for other tracking templates to manage your diet, your nutrition. Step number 6, you want to check in on your commitments. So once you have that, you've had that conversation with your family members, what you're going to do to maintain that healthy home environment, what tracking tool are you going to use to maintain your home, to maintain your finances, to maintain that you're eating healthy. And so once you've done that, you want to just maintain a consistent system of checking in on your commitment. And if you succeeded in tracking for that week, then give yourselves a pat in the back and celebrate it. ConsciousDiscipline.com is the website that I mentioned in the other slide, and it's got a lot of great tips and information on how to check in on your commitment. Also bear in mind, the dietary guidelines in the My Plate plan shows you the different food group targets, what and how much to eat within your calorie allowance. The money management calendar also gives you tips and strategies on how to budget so that you can shop for healthier options, or just to cover your bills, your utilities, especially now. And also if you have someone in your household that has lost their employment, and you don't have any income coming in, and you can write in there what other resources you could rely on, what food banks you can go to supplement your diet, and to have that extra source of food. In Spanish, really quick, el plan de mi plato muestra sus metas de grupos de comida, qué y cuándo debe comer dentro de la cantidad de calorías recomendadas. Su plan alimenticio está personalizado y lo puede hacer a través de miplato.gov. También puede usar el calendario de finanzas que se lo podemos enviar gratis por correo. El calendario de las finanzas incluye todas las áreas que puede anotar para compra de comida, el pago de la renta o la hipoteca, y todo eso está en el calendario de finanzas, que también puede ayudarlo a organizar su hogar. El próximo paso que vamos a discutir aquí es el paso número 7, que tiene que ver con el estrés. So step 7 is disengage the stress. A lot of people forget to, take time out to just diffuse some of that frustration. And a lot of times we go from just flat out sadness, from shock to sadness to anger to confusion. And so, this is why this tracking system is so important, because we want to disengage that stress and the triggers that cause us to lose focus on maintaining that healthy home environment. And so we don't want to pass that on to our children. So one quick, easy way to do that is to apply the 4 core breathing techniques and implement that daily. And just take 5 or 10 minutes out with your children, your family members, and implement this 4 core breathing technique. And it's called the STAR. This is all from also from Becky Bailey Conscious Discipline curriculum, and it's S stands for smile, T is take a deep breath, A and R relax. So the main important detail here is to breathe in through the nose with the belly going out, and then out through the mouth with the belly going in, exhaling longer than you inhale, and then doing 3 deep belly breaths to shut off the body's fight or flight response, and allowing us to access our executive state and just our the brilliance, right, that we are made of. We are made of very special, gifted, and talented, and so we have to remind ourselves of all those positive attributes that we obtain, and then pass it on to our children by breathing and reminding them that everything will be just fine. So the next step is the process. So the process, how do we deal, what's the process for our money, the process for, organizing not just your finances and your home, but also the communication with your family members. So we're going to touch on the process briefly here. So the process as far as your money is concerned, the money that you need for your household, right, to pay your rent, to pay your mortgage, to cover utilities. So you want to build a SMART goals, and we covered what the SMART method was. You want to find all your bills and the due dates and start writing them down. And that could be on the money management calendar. It could be on a spreadsheet. It could be on a notebook. Those are the tools that you're going to be using. But we want to use something. You want to track the expenses for the month. Then number 5, you want to write it in the financial money management calendar. Establish some time frame, whether it's once a day that you're going to write down what you're spending, or maybe at the end of the week. If you choose to do it at the end of the week, my recommendation is that you put all your receipts in an envelope so that you don't forget what it is that you're going to be writing down. But the actual going through the steps of writing it down will remind you of maybe there are certain areas that you need to cut back on, because when you see it on paper, you're going to realize there are certain things that you can adjust, reevaluate, and cut back on, so that you have that positive cash flow, especially now with the pandemic. If you've lost your job and you're solely relying on unemployment benefits or the stimulus checks, this is very, very important that you reevaluate on a weekly basis, so that you're basically shopping and on basically what you need, what your needs are. Keep a running balance. It's important to keep that running balance. And again, you can use an app on your phone or writing it on the calendar. Stay on track with one of these tools, whether it's a calendar or an app, whatever it is that you choose. Protect yourself financially from the impacts of the coronavirus or any unexpected emergency, and plan time to review and make changes. And that's really important, is that you take that time out to review and make the necessary changes. And sometimes those changes means that you need to reach out to other resources to supplement your income. There's a lot of organizations out there that can assist you with your utility bill, like LIHEAP, and that's coming up in one of my slides here. But there's plenty of resources that can help, especially now with this pandemic. So the next process that you want to consider is, the process of organizing your home. And so we talked about using positive terms, having the discussion with your family members, and now we want to put a process in place so that everybody helps out. We don't want the stress to be solely on the mother or the father or a grandparent or an older sibling. Sometimes, if you are working, we have a tendency to pass on things to our older children to take over. We don't want to do that. We want everyone to take part in maintaining that home. So, and that includes, the maintenance of the property itself. So we want to keep, whether you have a home or an apartment, you want to make sure that everyone is maintaining the environment dry. If there's a spill or water or juice or anything like that, we don't want to attract any pests or rodents, right? So want to keep the environment dry, want to keep it clean, safe, well ventilated, free from contaminants and pests, and well maintained and thermally controlled. To prevent the COVID spread, I've added this last line here. Want to sanitize frequently touched areas in the home, light switches, remote controls, doorknobs, and all handles. And for more information on how to sanitize your home or disinfect, you can go to the cdc.gov website. So what about the process for your family, the communication, right? We're talking about the health of the family members inside the home, right? So first, this is a list that you want to take a look at and answer them. Take your time to answer each one of these questions. So the first one says, my priorities, that which I most value are, my personal needs are, my others related needs are. That means all the other people in your household, what are their needs, right? My work needs and responsibilities are. Then you want to rank them in order of importance. And then you want to, number 6, do some of your items on your list. When you want to ask yourself, do some of these items that are on your list need to be rearranged? Okay. Do your priorities match your personal, others, and work-related needs? And then what does balance look like to you? Evaluate whether you are in or out of balance. So it's going to take some time to go through these questions. You definitely need to separate some time with your family members. Each person can fill this out. And then, if you need more information on this, I can also email you a little more details on it. But this is this is what we call the process of change, right? It's information, crisis, insight, commitment to change, experimental action, and shared growth. So once you have all these written out, you'll be able to go to the process of change. And incorporate that process of change and pass it on to your children as well. And just bear in mind that what they see you do, they will repeat and they will imitate. And so, and this also, writing the answers to these questions down will make you realize, perhaps I do need to change certain things. Because when you hear what your family members are saying, you're going to be able to make the necessary changes to meet their needs. Whether it's your spouse saying that she needs more time alone and you need to take over, the bath time at night, or maybe the dishes at night, just that whole evening ritual that you do with your children. Maybe your wife needs a break and you need to take over, or the reverse. So that's the discussion that will come out based on your answers doing this exercise. So it's a great exercise. I highly recommend that you take your time filling it out so that you can really incorporate that and get that insight that you need in order to commit to a change. So step 8, we want to review and revise. You want to set a monthly date and correct the difference for next month's projections. So after you've done all this tracking for at least a month, you're going to be able to look back and see, was I accurate, in what I projected to meet my goal, right? And right now, a lot of us the goal is to, cover that rent, cover that mortgage, especially if you have one spouse without employment, or both spouses are without employment. Some of these projections that you're going to be doing is, just taking care of your family first. If there are medicines that you need to purchase, if your food, all those are very important. Okay, so the next slide here is, let me switch to Spanish because I believe I forgot to do the Spanish on the other slide. So let me back up here. I apologize. para resumir los últimos cuatro que no los expliqué en español. Básicamente estamos hablando de cómo manejar el hogar, las tres, déjenme volver aquí otra vez. Okay. Primero estábamos hablando de la respiración, cómo incorporar un ejercicio de respirar cuando hay mucho estrés, en el hogar. Establecer unos 15 minutos con nuestros hijos, especialmente cuando hay mucha frustración. Establecer esos 15 minutos y practicar como la respiración utilizando esta estrategia de SMART. Y básicamente es respirar profundo y incluir a nuestros hijos para que practiquen esa estrategia. Suena muy sencillo, pero la realidad es que mucha gente no se toma el tiempo para respirar y tomarse unos 15 minutos para relajarse y despegarse del trabajo o despegarse de los estudios y coger esos 15 minutos juntos en familia. El próximo slide que también hablamos es sobre el dinero. Okay, el proceso, estos son diferentes talleres que nosotros hacemos aparte, esto es un resumen breve, básicamente con respecto al proceso al dinero del hogar, cómo manejamos las finanzas del hogar. Usted va a encontrar todas las facturas y fechas de vencimiento, cuánto es que entra y sale de su cuenta. Queremos darle seguimiento de los gastos, todos los gastos que entran y que salen. Escribir en un calendario financiero, mantenga un saldo corriente para su cuenta corriente y chequera mensual. Por ejemplo, se mantenga una lista de todos los pagos, sea el celular, el internet, la renta, la hipoteca, todo eso usted lo va a anotar. Luego, también lo puedo utilizar, aquí solamente estamos explicando que puede utilizar una aplicación en su celular o un calendario para anotarlo todo. Y por último, proteja sus finanzas y esté alerto al hecho de que va a tener que hacer cambios, especialmente si las dos personas en el hogar perdieron su trabajo. Hay muchos hay mucha ayuda y si necesita esa información se le puede proveer una lista de todas las ayudas que existen ahora con el pandemia. El proceso del hogar, de mantener el hogar, pues todos los que viven en el hogar deben de participar y ayudar, mantener el hogar limpio, seco, seguro, con buena ventilación y mantener todo limpio para que no tengan el uso de pesticidas. Y por último, también implementar un sistema de limpieza en todos los lugares que frecuentemente se tocan, como el control de la televisión, todo las puertas, the doorknobs, todos esos sitios para evitar el coronavirus. Entonces el otro proceso es el de la familia, la comunicación de los miembros de la familia, las prioridades y las necesidades de cada miembro de la familia. Y lo que vamos a hacer es básicamente contestar cada pregunta, y estas preguntas se las puedo proveer en español. Me acabo de dar cuenta que las tengo en inglés nada más. Es muy buena estrategia para asegurarse que cada miembro de su familia tenga las necesidades que se escuchen esas necesidades. Tal vez usted tiene un hogar donde hay chiquitos o tal vez hay adolescentes y todos tenemos algo que hay necesidades que cada uno y son diferentes. So, este proceso y contestar estas preguntas es bien importante para establecer el proceso del cambio y abrir la comunicación de las necesidades de cada miembro en ese hogar. El paso número 8 es revisar todo lo que ha notado, sea la finanza, sea el mantenimiento del hogar. Siempre hay que tomar un tiempo para revisar y tal vez adaptar ciertas cosas si es que estamos gastando demasiado en ciertas áreas. Pues entonces ajustar un poco las finanzas, o si es que una persona está manejando la limpieza del hogar, pues ajustar eso y pedirle a los otros miembros del hogar que también aporten y ayuden con la limpieza. So step 8 is to review and revise. I think we covered this already. So I'll move on to the last slides. These are the other resources I've mentioned at the beginning. Assistance with food. If you're in need of assistance with food, search for food banks near you by logging on to feedingamerica.org, and it'll prompt you to put in a zip code, your zip code, and it'll give you an exact location of where you can get food banks without having to disclose your ID or compromising your identity in any way. And these are free. Some places do require an identification. I know Catholic Charities has a system in place where they do require you to sign up and register, and they schedule you for the time where you can come by and pick up food. But also call, because a lot of these food banks have made special arrangements considering the need. So call ahead of time if you feel like you don't want to have to go there and fill out any kind of paperwork. Please remember there are plenty of places that will provide the food assistance. There's also assistance with mortgage or rent. You can log on to consumerfinance.gov. There is an incredible amount of information on that website on assistance with mortgage or rent, how to go about that, how to organize your finances, so that you have a better positive cash flow at the end of the week. Other resources are the Heart of Florida, United Way. If you'd like to email me directly, I can also provide you with local Orange County resources. Remember that there's also federal assistance, so that you can apply for. If you don't qualify in one area, please reach out to me so that I can hopefully put you in contact with different organizations that can help. So LIHEAP is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. It assists. You have to be eligible for it, but it basically assists eligible low-income households with heating, cooling, energy costs, your bill payment assistance, basically for for Orange County residents. If you're not able to, if you need assistance in trying to get the information, you can call here at 836-478-367-429. En español, si no puede pagar su cuenta de energía, es posible que puede recibir los beneficios de LIHEAP. Y aquí está la información el teléfono es 407-836-7429. La asistencia en energía es importante para todos los beneficios, pero especialmente es importante si en su hogar vive alguna persona que está discapacitada, una persona anciana, o un niño pequeño menor de 6 años, o también si hay niños con asma, especialmente ahora con el coronavirus, particularmente están en alto riesgo. de enfermedades y como el asma es una de esas enfermedades amenazantes con el COVID, no tema en llamar para acudir los beneficios del LIHEAP. Y si necesitan más detalles, también me pueden llamar a mí al 407-254-9231. Además de esos beneficios, también están los beneficios de desempleo. So these are additional benefits that are available in an effort to keep more money in your pocket, right? With this pandemic, it's so uncertain how the economy, what's going to happen with the economy, but we already know that it's impacted quite a bit. There's a lot of unemployment. And so these are all the websites, irs.gov, the LIHEAP website. If you'd like this in an email format, please reach out to me, Jenny A. Rodriguez at ufl.edu. And also, I mentioned in the other slide that if you have small children or grandparent that has asthma, because asthma is one of those high-risk ailments with the coronavirus, please don't hesitate to reach out and look for the LIHEAP benefits. If you need more details on that, you can reach out to me or by calling 407-836-7429. Let me go back here really quick. And then the last this one, I just wanted to point out the rental and mortgage assistance. This is a really good website. It's got a lot of resources on there if you're interested. It also covers the stimulus checks. A lot of stimulus checks have already been mailed out or direct deposited, but there's talk about a possible second round of stimulus checks. But if you'd like more details, just reach out to me, or you can log on to that website. Let me go back there again just to make sure. cfpb.gov/housing will give you all those details. And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you tuning in. And if you need any further information, don't hesitate to contact our offices.